Well, the CSI lab is part of our STEM centre, so we've got a STEM provision. We've actually got a physical centre for it. The centre's split up into a number of different areas. We've got a 3D room which actually does 3D video or 3D cinema, for which we can see things like a 3D version of the heart. You can actually walk around it and stuff like that. So that's one side of it. We've actually got the side where we do experimentation, and we can test things. We do like blood spatter testing, etc. And then we've got another area whereby it's touchscreen computers, and on them computers we do identifits, and so then we work through kind of identifying who the perpetrator was. So if I go into the CSI, so we do a number of different activities as well. So CSI is one of the activities. So how this would start then is we'd get a group of students in. They would then be given a scenario. So someone's usually committed a crime or something, and it's generally to do with a murder. So what we then have is the students are actually will be deciding who did it, and it'll be going through a scene. There'll be a scenario, and then what will happen is the students will then break up into groups, and with the information they've been given, they will then try to ascertain who the killer was and how it happened. I'll show you some pictures here as well. So if I pull it up, I'll do is I'll talk you through it then. So if you go top left,
Ah, I see. Yeah.
so you see a young man, and there's a piece of paper, and he's dropping well, not necessarily blood, but the equivalent of blood onto a piece of paper,
Yeah.
and he's working out the dimensions of a blood spatter. So they'll be given things like there was this blood spatter here, there was that blood spatter there on the door, and they will have to work out where the perpetrator was, etc. So he's going through that now. So he's doing that. If you go down, actually, if you go down under that picture, where that's in the 3D cinema lab,
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
see the lineup of the people. Now these are the suspects. So you can see some young students there. So actually they are from schools. So we have schools coming in as well. So you can see they actually looking at the suspects. At the next picture along, you can see them taking the blood out of the beaker, ready for testing. You've got on the other side where you said before with the finger, where he's putting the finger in, they're then doing fingerprinting.
Right.
So they're checking their fingerprints. The picture above that is then checking the fingerprints. I'm just going to.
Oh, I saw your cursor there briefly. Oh, I can see the cursor now.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. So that's where they're doing the. So this is where the person is actually checking fingerprints. So they'll be taking fingerprints. So there'll be fingerprints at the scene. So they'll be checking that as well. They also go onto a computer, and see if you will be able to see this as well. Hold on one second. Let me just.
Yes.
So that's the identifit. So what happens there is you then you've had someone say, oh, we saw someone run away and they had certain features. So the students then go through and work out on the identifit the features of the person. So for instance, they've got glasses, or no, they've got long hair, mustache, so to speak. So basically what you've got then is, so they then go through that, and then each group has to come forward and then give what they think was the person who did it, how they did it, and why they did it, and then all groups come together and they get scored at the end, because the video plays out, like you saw at the beginning, the video plays out at the end and says this is what happened. So there's a number of scenes that students go through. So yeah, so they're doing everything. So there's like a crime scene on the floor where the body was and everything like that. So they measure that up. So they do everything like similar to what they do on CSI on the TV.
The question was, how do you fit that into the curriculum, like maths, English?
Yes, well, STEM, technology, science and technology. Yes, there's maths and English that are part of it. It wouldn't all be a CSI day, so there'll be a number of activities. We've got activities like about the Titanic, so a lot of it's solution finding as well. So there'll be elements about how to solve things and there'll be maths within it, there'll be English within it. So that helps with that. It also is embedded in tutorials, and the idea is that the 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 learning that they get out of it, that they can take back to their classrooms. Obviously, it doesn't fit straight into their assignments as such. However, it does align to what we call T-shaped skills, the other skills that they need be around the actual assignment, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like problem solving, working in groups, and sometimes it just takes them out of the class as well. From that, and also the tutor will then, because the tutor who runs the people who are running the STEM centre and who run and say the activities will be joined by the tutor from, so motor vehicle, for instance, they'll be joined by the tutor from motor vehicle. The tutor from motor vehicle will then bring in scenarios where that could be used, or where that has been seen, or where the testing oil spatter maybe, or where the testing oil and how it can be used, and the heat of it, and when does it change, etc. So they'll bring in their own kind of how can you say it, side of it, to make it topical, to make it relevant to them.
Oh, of course, yeah. You've got, I suppose, yeah. You could have, crime scenes, or so where you measure the skid marks and
yes,
car and all the rest of it. I see, yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of blends it into lots of different areas. So yeah, any problem solving, you can then bring it round to saying a solution in your, even if it's plumbing, what is the temperature that a boiler would, or something reaches a certain point where it'd be fatal, and things like that. So it's all them kind of things that you bring in into it as well. So them make it topical and relevant. And
yeah, you're right. Idea just popped into my mind. I think of like Cluedo, isn't it? You ever play Cluedo?
yes.
Yeah, I think a modern version of Cluedo. Maybe we could recreate Cluedo in the college in a room. Was it? I can't remember the names of the characters, the bishop and so on. You had little. Maybe we could do something like that as well. It's a really wonderful idea. Yeah, it's more almost enrichment. Other people have mentioned it maybe an enrichment activity. You've got problem solving, group work, and then you've got some maths, English elements in it. You've got read statements, write statements, haven't you?
Yes.
Calculations to make, and then certain scientific knowledges. Yeah, it's a really wonderful idea. Maybe next time we'll have a little tour around, or I'll come and visit it myself or something like that and take some photos. But
we're more than happy to do a tour. I mean, a video tour we should be able to get the technology to work for that. So yeah, so that'd be great. And yeah, the thing is, I mean, the government's trying to get people to embed STEM into their subjects, and it's not easy if you're doing it in the same old classrooms, workshops, etc. Sometimes it's great to get out of that, and then it's like jump starts the students to realize, oh right, this is what it is. This is what's meant by that. So yeah, I think it's a great thing to do that, to bring them out of the classroom and to start getting them thinking.
When I mentioned it to some of the teachers here, some of them got quite excited by it, and we're thinking about doing it in our Thing Lab, setting the Thing Lab up as a crime scene,
Yeah.
But then they also said, well, it doesn't have to be in one place, it could be all over the college, couldn't it? And you could have clues that they've got to find around the college, like a hunt, so it really sounded quite good. Very interesting. So not restricted necessarily to one room, but having groups try and find clues to solve something, doesn't necessarily a crime, but to solve something, split around the college and ultimately in the community or something. And then I was just saying, you go one technological stage further. You can have like augmented reality, like those games you have. Those games. You have augmented reality games on the streets of London.
Oh yes, yeah. Why not? We are looking at augmented reality. We've got 3D, so we've got 3D theatre there, which is great. So you can actually, students walk around like the heart and stuff like that, and body parts, and the Titanic and the likes. So that's really good. Yeah. So I mean, QR codes. You can set QR codes up around the college, and it's using technology. I mean, the key thing is to embed STEM, is to get people thinking about about the STEM and STEM agenda, and how it can fit into their everyday, well, into their course and into what they're probably going to be doing when they leave
Yeah.
the course and go into work.
I was just thinking that yeah, we could have, well, not so much QR codes these days, but it's the like the images that an AR app could generate. So you find
Yes.
an image in the college, put your phone on it, and then it talks to you about the next, what happened here or something like that. Penny Langford at West Thames, a very similar train of thought. She was mentioning that they were developing something to get their students to solve burglaries using their smartphones.
Okay.
You need to have a chat with her what she was talking about there. I'm not sure, but I can imagine, you take photos, you share information. It came from the MoleNet type of things, I imagine, those sort of things where you design for mobile, out of classroom type of activity, so same kind of idea, solving problems,
Hmm.
and crimes, unfortunately, we're solving crimes all the time, but,
It makes it interesting.
but it certainly does, yeah. I mean, I remember back in the day, we used to have, instead of solving crimes, you used to have like journalism. You'd report on a story and write blog, write articles, do videos, do TV station, radio station. When I started teaching in the mid '80s, that's a while ago now. I remember we just got, like, I can't remember what they call it, but desktop publishing, and we had a little project. I can't remember which game it was in, City and Guilds maybe. I can't remember. But we had a project involving science, IT, English, maths, all that sort of stuff. And the idea was we'd have a radio station, but the science students had to build the radios, with crystal set, all that sort of stuff. So they build the radio, then you got the English lot doing the scripting. I can't remember what the maths done. We put up a display, and IT did desktop publishing at the time. Was it PageMaker? I can't remember, but I think it's just Word in the very early days of Word, and we print out, stuff. So it's all these, actually, it's a reminder back to project-based, embedded, like you say, something that's slightly different, cross-curricular, isn't it? Cross-subject.
Oh yes.
Something like you're saying there again. But return to what you're talking about. There is involving many different disciplines.
Mm.
And that makes it interesting. It makes it more contemporary. The idea, isn't it, the 21st century education mustn't be siloed. It must try and cross-discipline and be more imaginative in that way. So
It doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, it's so many times you. I mean, if you go into industry and say you're going to be a graphic designer, you will be working with coders. You'll be working with other people. You'll be working with, maybe you might even be talking to the people on the hardware, the network. You'll be mixing with lots of different people, lots of different skill sets that are different and are not in your subject, and you have to learn to do that. And unfortunately, normally what happens in college, you go into your subject area and you stay in that subject area for the 2-3 years that you're there. So the idea is that's great what you're doing and did do, and that's something we're trying to do as well. Is
yeah, the ability to learn, solve problems, keep learning,
mm,
communicate and collaborate and cooperate. Those
mm.
non-subject specific skills that what they call that now, I can't remember what they call that, but no, they float across fluid skills, that float across all different subjects. Communicate, cooperate, solve problems, in any subject. Yeah, it's cool. All right, John.
Excellent.
Thanks very much.
No problem, Martin.